And so once I figured that out, I was able to make my business profitable. I could make a living wage off of it instead of running myself to the ground, right?
Well, don't do any spoiler alerts right now, Heather, okay? Welcome to Simple Sense for Small Business. And today we're going to be talking about pricing your goods and services for your business. It is a bit of a tricky business, isn't it? There's math involved, mindset involved. And with that, today we're going to be talking to Heather Bays and Marie Workman. And Heather is a photographer and a Web3 community builder. And she has an NFT project with her daughters. And we're with Marie Workman, who also has an NFT project to advocate for animal welfare. We were on a Twitter Spaces. Naturally, it kind of got broached about how pricing as a photographer, you have experience with that, and Marie with her artwork, and how sometimes underpricing happens, thus undervaluing our own worth. And I said, let's kind of record this conversation because it's so fascinating for me. As an insurance and financial services professional and background, everything was always regulated. So I would love to hear from both of you. And Heather and Marie, please introduce yourselves, share everything and anything you'd like to share with the audience, and take it away.
Hello, I'm Heather. I've been a photographer for my whole life. I didn't really realize it was going to become my business because it was such a passion of mine. And I was always afraid to turn that into a business because sometimes that can kill the passion, but it was inevitable, especially after the birth of my first child. I feel like it's just this feeling to document just becomes so intense. And so I naturally started a photography business so that I could capture all the moments for everybody. It's been such a joy. I have met so many families and captured so many incredible moments for them. The hardest part of the journey was pricing, to be honest with you, because everybody is priced all over the spectrum. And I think when you're an artist, you're sometimes not naturally, you're not a business owner, right? You are, but you're more of an artist. And you have these emotional attachments to your own work. It gets really complicated.
My name is Maria, or a lot of people call me Marie, which is fine. I like that name too. I have worked in all sorts of fields. I've worked as a software engineer. I've worked as a wildlife rehabber. I spent many years volunteering for an animal rescue throughout that time. I have a poodle named Ansel, and I have a sticker shop on Etsy, and I make watercolor pet portraits and custom stickers. I also have an NFT project called Poodle Pals, where 30% of profits every quarter go back to a rescue voted on by our members, and we do fun community events, and we also host educational spaces. And my dog Ansel was a big inspiration for that project.
So thank you for sharing, and thank you for all of your creativity and generosity with sharing when it comes to community building and art and advocacy and all of it combined. Now, here's a little sleeper fact that I did not reveal in the beginning of this video was when the three of us were talking, Marie was like, no, I can't really talk about that because I'm kind of guilty of doing this. And I said, well, then that's perfect. Come on in, because I'm sure there are other people that are in the same position. So Marie, would you like to share what's been happening in your business and how you know that you need to kind of refine the process, if you will?
I started doing things on Etsy and on print on demand when I had a normal job. I moved across the country. I suddenly had no job and was like, okay, I'm going to make my Etsy shop and my NFT life my full-time job. And surprise, a few months later, I realized I can't really pay my bills now, even though I feel like I work harder than I ever have before. There's so many times that I will get messages from people on Etsy and they'll be like, I do custom stickers for dogs, cats, or any pets. And I have a minimum order of 10 stickers and I price them out at, normally a sticker would be around $5 something each. But people are like, I only want one sticker. And sometimes I try to convince them no, you need to do 10 stickers because it needs to be worth my time to spend hours and hours working on the design. But then a lot of the times I'm just like, okay, fine. You only want 2 stickers. I will charge you $10 for 15 hours of work. And unfortunately, like at the time, like, I don't know, I end up being like kind of a pushover, but then that's not really worth your time or your energy if you're like.
Well, I think you bring up such a valuable point of the sort of the balance or the dichotomy of the feelings. It's math, but it's also mindset. That's a lot to overcome. That's a huge, heavy weight to try to figure out. I think it's just such a bigger struggle and challenge, the mindset piece. What is the comfort level that exists that we don't know how to pivot towards the direction of repricing? Like the 2 stickers for $10 instead of 1 sticker is, what would the number have been?
I fluctuate between like 45 to 49.99 depending on the season. And then that includes 10 stickers because I make the design one time and then it's easier to just like keep printing them. So then at least it makes it more worth my time. At that point, I give them the ability to add on more stickers if they want. And like occasionally I do get people who do want 10 stickers, but most of the time they're like, oh no, it's for a friend. I only want 2 or I only want 1. And sometimes I like tell myself like, well, 2 is better than none.
Interesting. And Heather, you probably had that same thing. Like somebody wants just a photo or 2 shots.
Yeah, exactly. So I would just price it in a way that no matter what, my cost of doing business was covered. And so you want 1 photo, that's fine. And at least it covers my cost of doing business. I might not make much of a profit, but I'm not making money. Like I'm not losing money. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the most important. There's ways of like wording things and pricing things that like obviously make it, it's like, well, you could have 1 for this price or you could have 5 for this price. And obviously you're going to take 5 because 1 is the price of like 4.
So when someone wants 1 photo, but you have to do a whole shoot, right? You have to actually physically go to take the pictures of the people.
Personally, like I have what I call a session fee. And so that covers just the session. Okay. And so if you don't want any pictures after that session, that's fine. But you still have to pay for that session fee because it covers my time. Mm-hmm. And it covers the gallery that I put together for you.
We'll go to the first question. What was the moment when you realized that there was more to pricing the products and the cost of doing business? Do you have a specific light bulb aha moment that happened for you that changed the trajectory of how you approached your business?
It took me a while to like figure it out, but once I figured it out, it was like, of course. And so now whenever somebody is like, how do I price? It's super easy, actually. You just have to take that emotion out and just do the math. It's just in the math. And so once I figured that out, I was able to make my business profitable. I could make a living wage off of it instead of running myself to the ground, right? And you know what it takes is your taxes. You think like, all right, I already have this, so I don't need to account for that. Or I already have this, and that's just not true because those things wear and tear. Your travel, you're like, I already have a car, so like, I guess I don't need to account for it. But it's like, yeah, but your car needs work. It breaks down. It needs gas. And it's also your time, like, to travel there. Like these things all matter. And those things didn't occur to me until I started to really break it down. I couldn't just charge for my art. I had to charge for my business. I wasn't just selling only art. So that was my aha moment.
So given the experience you've had in both your respective businesses, and they are in an artist realm, and it can be very subjective how the pricing is determined. And now that you're in Web3 and Web3 is relatively new, how do market conditions and market fluctuations, make this a little bit even more challenging? And like Marie, you had said about depending on the season, it's 45 or 49. How does the market help with this or not?
Sure. If you're charging people in a form of crypto in the NFT space, then as the market is volatile, so is the pricing. Like some days, Mint Poodle Pal is $22. At one point, I think it was $13, and some day it's like $30. So I think that changes the perceived value. When I have done NFT pet portraits, Usually I fluctuate my price based on like the market. So between like 0.05 to 0.07, depending on the value of Ethereum compared to the dollar. I think it's because like there's a lot of artists in the NFT space. They tend to be pretty respectful of other people's time, other artists' time, and they're very understanding that artists do need to make a living, that this is more of a profession and not just a hobby. Whereas people on Etsy, you're marketing to a whole set of buyers who maybe don't understand what it takes to make an art piece.
It's sort of like when you go to Europe and you exchange your dollars for, whatever the currency is of that country, you're always translating, well, how much is it to my bottom line? How much is it from my pocket, out of my pocket? And so the whole thing about if the Ethereum price should just be the Ethereum price. I'm like, yeah, but aren't people still converting the amount to whatever their currency is? If you do consider fluctuating, how does that affect people that are already invested?
I don't know. Like, I think that the reality is that this has always been the way the market is. It's a bit of a roller coaster ride. And I think that if you have a project, I think you just have to like buckle up maybe and just prepare to go for a bit of a ride and maybe watch the market. Like, I mean, I guess you could prepare to fluctuate your prices, with the market, but again, like you said, like if you do something like that, you might make your original holders angry unless there's something that you can do to like compensate for that, like drop them to maybe another one, or even just like refund them half of it, like whatever is going to keep it completely honest. And yeah, so I think that it's more or less as long as the community's on board, and that's how I would feel about it. But I'm also really hopeful for the market. So I say just like hold on tight.
I think it's a long-term play. First of all, any kind of investment marketplace has been around and it's always been cyclical. Whether you track the S&P or the NASDAQ or, whatever, it's always up and down. So that's how I'm kind of trying to look at it. I think one of the other questions that I have that was sort of touched on, do you have a perceived or a projected lost opportunity mentality of like, if I do increase my pricing because this work is so good and my time is so valuable, how does that keep you from moving forward with increasing your pricing? Because if I do increase it, maybe no one will buy. That's what it was. Marie said, well, two's better than none. So how does that play into kind of maintaining the status quo of not increasing pricing or not valuing your own worth?
I think it's a very fearful mindset. And I have had occasions where I've had, for example, one lady on Etsy messaged me and she was like, hey, I really like your stickers, but I bought from someone else. So can you give me a discount? And also, if you can you at least give me a military discount? Because I just happened to see hers first. And like part of me like took a deep breath and like counted to 100. And I was really torn on what to say. Eventually I told her, with the help of ChatGPT, actually, I had ChatGPT reword this for me. To sound friendly but authoritative, I told her I do not offer military discounts. I'm sorry that she purchased other stickers before she saw mine, but I was going to stand by the cost of my stickers. And then I didn't hear back from her for like, I think like 4 days. And then surprise, she ordered the stickers and she ordered 2 of them and gave me a 5-star review when she got them.
That could have been a dicey situation depending on how unreasonable she was, which I think plays into the mindset part of the equation with, whether it's fear of rejection or fear of a negative confrontation and then having to work through someone else's issues. And I think that plays into it when you have somebody who wants your product, but not at what you priced it. When do you know that you're so confident that you can just say, you're not my client in your mind, not that you would say that out loud, but you're not my client. So I'm just sticking to my guns.
That's exactly. You know what? I think too, when you stand your ground, there's a lot of respect. You respect yourself, you respect your business, and then the people you're chatting with will respect you as well. And what I have found, like countless, like just literally every single time, I won't even say sometimes, literally every single time when I have given in to somebody who's negotiated, it's been a bad experience every single time. So that is what I remember. And I always now, because I've been doing it long enough, there's always red flags. And when I start to even feel that, I will even say, like, we are not meant to work together. And I'm fine with that because I would rather not take the money than to have to deal with the confrontation and the stress. I have enough anxiety. Like, I really don't need to add to it. So I just try to like cut that out as much as I can.
We talked about resentment and we talked about respect. And it does take time to kind of like exchange which one is more exhausting. And Heather, this is a huge point that I think is not missed, but I think it maybe takes a few transactions to get there, where you don't really look at the time you're saving for taking the job and getting the lesser amount of money.
Mhm.
And so that to me is fascinating because you can't really quantify that. Trevor and I are, most of our pricing historically has been because of financial services and through regulatory agencies. But during COVID, when we had our disaster loan business, we were subjected to a capped fee for the US Small Business Administration. But when we were first starting out and we didn't know anything about the program or the loan, we only knew of a process to apply for a loan. We were like, well, just charge $750. How bad could this be? Right. But the SBA is so dysfunctional that we spent hours and hours on a file for $750. We were like, nope, going to 2,000. We didn't even get to the 2,500. And then it was still like more work because the SBA can't close a door, much less a loan. So then we went to the full $2,500. The respect of, you don't want to pay $2,500, go do it on your own. You can do it yourself. So yeah, that's the DIY mentality. They want white glove service for DIY prices.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So I think that alone is, where we have to take, we have to reflect, again, alliterations, reflect on respect versus resentment. And how much time do we have to go through before we get there? It's sort of like when you're in a bad relationship. What's the rock bottom to get out?
And I think when it comes to art, especially, people think that it is more negotiable because it's a passion of yours. So it's like, you have fun doing it, don't you? Like, still my time.
Right. And your expertise.
Yeah, exactly. And it's especially hard with friends and family because they really think that it's not that much time. I'm just clicking a picture. It's probably like you, Marie. It probably doesn't take you that long to draw that, right? And it's just like, yeah, no, just 30 hours of my time. No biggie. They don't understand. And so there's a lack of respect. And so it can get kind of mucky.
Well, that old saying about Picasso, he was at a bar with the napkin, drawing on the napkin, and he was about to throw it away. And someone was like, I'll buy that from you. And he said $25,000. He's like, yeah, but that took you 5 minutes. He said, no, but it took me 20 years to get to the point of being able to do that to that level.
Exactly it. If somebody says like, well, it's only going to take you that long. And it's like, yeah, but I should charge more then because you're going to get it a lot faster. So like, isn't that better?
Right. Efficiency, quality combined. So Marie, do you have any thoughts? Is anything resonating with this on, all right, I already know all this, but I'm still working on it. It's a work in progress.
So yeah, it's definitely resonating with me, especially because, full transparency, I have been applying to real jobs again. At the same time, I'm like not ready to give up. So I've been thinking about posting something about offering digital watercolors, like the one I did for Pepper.
Wow.
Like it's like unbelievable. Look how big it is. I think even Pepper recognizes herself. She's like, damn, who's that?
And that's not digital, right? That's you actually painting.
No, that one is digital. So I used to do real watercolors for people, and then a few things happened. When I was shipping them out before, when COVID happened and there was like all sorts of chaos with the USPS system, I didn't want to spend over 50 hours on a watercolor, have to ship it out and have it get lost. Sure, I could get reimbursed by the postal service because of insurance, but like that wouldn't bring back the picture. It wouldn't bring back the time that I had spent on it. But recently I started trying to do watercolors on the iPad in Procreate, and Heather, it was the second time I tried doing that for Pepper.
You should offer this service to people. I would buy it as gifts for people. It's such an emotional thing to have, right? Like, it's a great gift for people.
I mean, people love their pets, but it's not just pets, right?
So I started doing pets when I was volunteering for a rescue. Originally, I was doing color pencil drawings of some of the adoptable animals. And then we'd have their little picture hanging up. And then whenever they got adopted, the person who adopted them would get to keep that colored pencil drawing. And then I got a little bit more brave and started messing around with watercolors and thought it was so fun. And then I was uploading them to print on demand sites for like stickers, shirts, and water bottles. People love getting shirts with their dogs on them. But I haven't really dabbled that much in landscapes or anything else. And I'm not confident in my ability to watercolor people or draw people for that matter. So
I love artists. I'm in awe because I mean I don't possess that skill. I think it's a gift really because it's so beautiful to be able to do that. And I'm sure it's very therapeutic too. We talked about a lot of things. We talked about math, mindset, respect, and resentment. Marie, thank you for being on the spot with being vulnerable with the process of pricing and that you may be looking for another job, but you're hopefully not going to have to. What would have to happen for you to not take a full-time job?
I think like best case scenario is I do take a full-time job and keep doing watercolor and Web3 things in addition to that, just do everything, and then eventually get to a point where I can come back to do that full time. And I would have had to like go back like 2 years in time and start taking things more seriously, pricing work more seriously. The whole friends and family thing, that really gets you. And then when their friends and family reach out to you, it's just a very slippery slope. I'm sure Heather understands.
Heather, I want to ask you with when you adjusted and you were so confident that you didn't even look back, do you feel that sticking to your pricing and honoring your value, it's easier when you have enough business coming in and money is kind of flush that you can make that decision?
I think that does exactly because it's like you end up in the mindset that you don't need it. And so they can take it or leave it. You get a full schedule by building confidence in your business and running a successful business, right? Because then I'm not stressed. I'm getting paid for my time. I'm able to invest in my business because I'm getting paid properly. And so I just think it sets you up to succeed when you pay yourself a living wage because you don't have to spread yourself so thin then.
So this leads me to a question that's one of my favorite topics of all time when it comes to business. Do you think marketing has any part of the positioning of the brand or how you're positioning yourself as a business owner or as an expert? Do you think there's anything that has to do with marketing that they determine the value of and then thus paying the price to understand the value? Do you think marketing has any play in that?
Oh, of course. I think you are selling customers the experience just as much as you're selling them the finished products. Marketing can definitely contribute to being able to charge a higher price too. It depends on like who the end user or customer is because some people don't care about the experience and some people do.
Heather, in your bio that you sent, that is one of the banners that I put up while you were introducing yourself with Web3 community, how vital or how valuable as a contributing factor to pricing do you think experience lends to the process?
I feel like they're different in both spaces. Like in the Web3 space, it might be different than like when it comes to like my photography business. It starts and ends. There's a transaction. I give them their photos. We wrap it up in a bow and it's done. But with an NFT project like mine, and much like Maria's here, is like you buy our NFT and then now you're part of the community. And now when does the transaction end is the question, because my photography experience is much quicker, but like way more expensive. Whereas the NFT experience is really cheap. So I don't know. I'm still figuring the Web3 one out, to be honest with you. I find that it's not priced properly. I feel like nobody really prices properly and the expectations are kind of all over the place. Personally, when I invest into a project, my transaction ends when I buy it. It's like, I've had great times with you. I'm now buying into your project. I believe in you. I don't expect anything any further than this. And I think that with NFT projects, you just have to know where their intentions lie And that's the big thing, right?
It's such a good point, because if you think about it, if an author releases a book and the book is $25.99, you're not all of a sudden having, monthly Zoom calls with the author. It's like you buy the book and you read the book and then you're done.
Yeah.
And especially with Web3, with this expectation of utility and how much utility. For me, for my project, I'm trying to do all different kinds of things because I'm just testing the waters. And I did a 1 hour YouTube strategies for small business. And for me, that was like, I should be done. Like, that was alone, the value is worth the NFT, in my opinion, especially if you're coming because you haven't figured it out yet. And I'm giving you all the things I did wrong for 3 years within an hour. Maybe it's a course you bought for $197 and it's an online on demand. You maybe have access to a Facebook group. It's not like you're going to have one-on-one consulting with creator of the course. Maybe you do, but that's why they price it at $997 and not $197, because you're going to get one free one-on-one consultation, right? So Heather and Marie, please share with everyone, and thank you so much for your time today. Please share where people can find you, where they can find Dollytown, where they can find the Poodle Pals, any social media that you would like to share.
So you can find me on Twitter. That's where I'm probably most active, under Dollytown. Or you can just find me at Heather Bays. I'm also on Twitter. And I also have Heather Bays at Instagram. And then, of course, my website, which is www.heatherbays.com.
So on Twitter, I am Marie Sunshine. I also run the account for Poodle Pals. The Poodle Pals website is https://poodlepals.org, and you can find me on Etsy under the store name The Doodle Fluffs.
Well, I just love how everything that you're both doing it's more to it than art. The fact that your website is .org does represent that you are doing the advocacy piece and the animal welfare. And I think it's very important for people to understand things that they may not think about on a regular basis. I'm glad that you're doing that kind of work. So thank you so much. Thanks to both of you, Marie and Heather. We'll see you on Twitter. We'll listen to you in Twitter Spaces. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having us. That was really fun.
Thank you.